Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey, what's up, guys? Back again with the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, here to answer all of your questions about distillation. Reach out to me as always in the YouTube comments below and or via social media or at bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And be sure you go to thealchemistcabinet.com and pick up either the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute Alchemist Cabinet Volume 1 Philosophy or Volume 2 The Black Forest Method books. I'll be doing another video. I did one recently about how to design a mash bill based on excuse me, I just got in from a event, and I was outside, and it's kind of cool outside today, so a little sinus stuff. But I did one on mash bill design based on information contained in Volume 1, and I'm going to be doing a video on enzyme efficiency with malt here very, very shortly. But you have to ignore the way I look. This is the way that I dress whenever I go do presentations and stuff, and I just had a super busy weekend. Getting the garden ready. It is springtime. Got a new tiller. Got the gardens, plowed up and disked and then tilled and planted some stuff. And then Saturday morning, a very good friend of mine who owns a little 2-seat ultralight plane was kind enough to take me over Cave River Valley and Henderson Park, which were the sites of multiple distilleries pre-prohibition here in the Black Forest region of southern Indiana. And man, that was a great time and really cool. About 400 foot up in the air, flying over the trees, checking everything out from above. Leaf cover was only about 50 or 60%, so I was able to see a lot of the old road beds and stuff that I'd speculated were there, but never could prove were there before. I did try to film some of that, but I don't think most of it turned out. I might edit it down into a little bit of a short. It's kind of hard to, look at your phone through a plastic carrier case that I had on me so I wouldn't drop it while I was on the aircraft. But I'll probably edit that down into a little short video I'll put up for you guys. I don't know if you guys will be able to make out anything with it other than just, it's cool footage of up in the air above Washington County, Indiana. Then after that, came home, worked in the garden a little bit more, went to Evansville, Indiana, and watched my brother Justin Whaley, my assistant distiller at Spirits of French Lick, participate in the Guns and Hoses tournament. If you're not familiar with this is a fundraiser boxing event between police and firefighters. It was a great time. Justin did unfortunately lose his bout, but he put in one hell of a fight, and it was very worthwhile and a lot of fun for us to do. And then today I spent a good portion of my day over in Orange County, Indiana at the Stampers Creek Primitive Baptist Church, where I was presenting some of the history of distilling in Orange County to a lot of the descendants and families of the distillers of Orange County for what they call the Magical History Tours, which I do once a month there in Orange County through Karen Paget. So that was a really good time for me, other than the fact that yesterday it was like 80 degrees. Today, I don't know, it was cold. That's what I know, comparatively speaking, to what it was yesterday. So anyways, checking in here, going to get into some questions. And as always, like I said, reach out to me if you've got any. Also, you may have seen in a previous video, been working on a podcast for you guys. We're calling it the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, the Sacred and the Profane. I'll probably have that out, maybe even by the time this video comes out. It will definitely be on Spotify. I don't know if I'll go out of my way to put it on a lot of the other podcast hosts because it's a lot of work to do that, and I already have so many other projects going. But this podcast will be very much more, it'll be like what we do here with video series, but maybe a little bit more in depth, and we'll focus on particular subjects. Like the first one's going to be sort of this idea of natural fermentation, natural distillation, walking you guys through the process of capturing yeast and propagating yeast and how that's done with a Donna jug, etc. The history of that, the differences between the way it was done in Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania versus southern Indiana, and then going into designing a mash bill, fermentation, distillation, and the various options available therein. So I've been having a lot of fun recording that. I've got about 3 or 4 episodes in the can now. I don't know how often those will come out. I don't think it matters. I think it's extra bonus content that you guys will really enjoy, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's nicer, more long form content than what I typically do with the videos. There are more videos coming of process stuff, so I have been playing around with Angel Yellow Label, and I can verify that at least as far as fermentation goes, It does exactly what they say it does. And it will even do exactly as they say it does with maize or with corn, with cold saccharification, etc., and conversion of starch into sugar, even with cold water or warm water as it was. I'm very surprised by it, and I think you guys will be too. We'll see if it distills worth of shit or not, because it, could still be trash. You really never know until you distill. I'm also working with the guys from Bad Motivator Barrels. I do have some Bad Motivator barrels headed this direction that I'll be doing a lot of experimenting with, and obviously that's going to be a long-term, multi-year project, but I'm all about it, and I'm all about moving them around in different conditions and seeing how different, sort of weather patterns and temperatures, etc., affect them. But I also want to compare one of these 2-gallon Bad Motivator barrels to a 53-gallon barrel, and maybe I'll fill a couple of them the same day so we can really compare and contrast over the coming years. Long-term dedication to this channel and what we're trying to do with one piece at a time Distilling Institute. Every time I turn on one of these videos, I'm always over here suffering somehow. Like something's always, hiccups or sinuses or sneezing or whatever. Anyways, getting into the questions today. So, from Greg Corum, and this was from the Running a Hobby Pot Still video we just recently put up. Currently enjoying your Distiller's Talk podcast. Good stuff. I'm about to fill my first 50-liter barrel, 13 gallons. What should I record about this barrel? I don't want to make my usual mistake of getting a great product and then wondering how the fuck did I do that? When should I start taste testing a barrel this size? Temperatures are below freezing in winter and 110 degrees in summer. I've been getting good results, pre-soaking in jars 3 months, then 6 months in 5-gallon barrel, then dropping sherry staves in the barrel for another 2 months. 50% peated single malt. Not sure how the bigger barrel is going to change things. I'm mainly switching to 13 gallons so I can age for over 2 years, then legally put the word whiskey on the label. All fantastic questions, man. So 13-gallon barrel, I wouldn't bother, this is just me, I wouldn't bother to sort of preload the spirit with oak by soaking in any way, shape, or form. I don't think you need it. The beauty of a 15-gallon barrel is that, surface area-wise, it's very similar, scales up very similar to a 53-gallon barrel, to the extent that even some of the craft distillers that are doing really great things are using 15-gallon barrels and getting fantastic results. Limestone Branch was a great example of that. I think they've stopped using the 15s now that Luxco has bought that company, 51% of that company. But they were using 15s for 2 to 3, sometimes even almost up to 4 years, and getting fantastic results without doing any pre-soaking or anything of that nature. As far as what you should record, what I would record obviously is the spirit, the fermentation, what yeast that you used in it. I always keep track of all of my cuts. I'll write, it still came over at whatever time it was, roughly what my fuel input rate was. If I'm using gas, it was at 35%, or it was at, startup was at 100%, first over was at 35%, what time, what was the proof, and all that stuff, just so I have a running measurement of all the different things that went into that run. I also make notations of anything that went weird or anything that tasted odd, and then I'll do notations based on what the white spirit itself tasted like before I put it into the barrel, as well as the proof that I went into the barrel, and where the barrel location was, so that I can keep track of those things as I go as well. I think the more information you can record on that, the better off you will be in the long run if you want repeatable results that are fairly consistent. Of course, there's going to be differences even just between the barrels themselves. You can have 2 barrels from the same run that are both from the same barrel company, both with the same spirit that you made the same day off the same mechanism, and in a few years they're going to be entirely different. As far as tasting, on a barrel like that, and if this is your first 13-gallon barrel, I would go ahead and plan on tasting it the first time about 6 weeks out, right? You're not going to do anything with it. It's just interesting to see how it's developing. So maybe go 6 weeks out, then go 6 months out, then 9 months out, then 1 year, right? And then after a year, I'd probably start trying to taste that barrel about every 2 months pretty consistently, up to 2 or 3 years. I probably wouldn't take it any more than 2 years, but you never know. You may get to 2 years and find that you want a little bit more time out of it. The sherry stave thing is interesting, and I'm curious if you're actually using, once you sherry staves, or if you are making some of your own sherry and then actually, soaking those staves, or how you're doing that. That is, obviously a very popular thing in distillation, and even some craft distillers make their own raisin sherry to actually season barrels with sometimes, to use for finishing and things of that nature. So I'm very curious what you're doing with that. It's great that you're moving into, a larger barrel. I think that's the dream of most home distillers, is to actually get stuff in the barrel and see what it does. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about these bad motivator barrels, right? They're not big. They're 2 gallons. They're not a huge commitment, but you could fill several of them in a year, right? And put them back. You can fill them with the same product, different product. You can use the new oak that he sells, or you can use bourbon barrel that he sells. Sometimes he probably comes across, or it sounds like you can send him even potentially some odd oaks, or if he comes across a cool source of odd oak stuff, or different barrels that he can make, the bad motivator barrels out of. That's the fun part of being able to play with all those things. Of course, it's hard to get barrels from him right now because he has so many orders coming in, but he does give you the way to make your own bad motivator style barrels. So be sure to check that out for sure through his channel. If you have any woodworking experience whatsoever, you should be able to set up a shop to be able to make those type of barrels. And I know that he's really excited just to see home distillers use those style of barrels in their production at home. So anyways, I hope that answered your question, man, and we will be back with more answers here shortly. Love y'all. Later.